Yeah, did you watch that KSI show? You know, and he boxed two guys on one night. Swarms and that little fake Mexican boxer. Yeah, I went to the show, yeah, and you know that little fake fucking Mexican boxer, Pinado? You know, he was fake. You know, before the fight, they were trying to like build him up. You know, trying to make out like he's a danger to KSI. You know, saying, oh, he's a real professional boxer. He's a Mexican. You know what I mean? You know, trying to fucking build him up. Trying to make out like he was some kind of threat to KSI. Before the fight, he had 2 wins and 4 losses. He was fucking shit, man. You know, he was just complaining all the time. You know, like saying, oh, he's hit me in the back of the head. He's hit me in the back. You know, I was sat there watching, thinking, this guy ain't no Mexican boxer. The guy's shit, man. You know, Mexican boxers, yeah, you normally think of like Barrera, you know, Morales, Julio Cesar Chavez. You know, those kind of guys. This fucking guy who KSI smacked up, he's not a Mexican boxer, man. He's not. You know, real Mexicans, they don't acknowledge him at all. You know, they're ashamed of him. He's like an outcast. You can tell that he's not going to be accepted, you know, by real tough Mexican boxers. You know, it's like Tommy Fury, innit? You know, when like John Fury said, if you lose to Jake Paul, you've got to change your name. You've got to change your Fury name. You know, we don't want anything to do with you. You're going to bring shame on the family name. So if you lose to Jake Paul, yeah, you're no longer a Fury. You're no longer part of this family. That's what they said to him, didn't they? John Fury and Tyson Fury. Because like, I'm sure Tommy Fury, I'm sure he would have got like slandered, you know, in the Fury house. You know, because he like plucks his eyebrows, don't he? You know, John Fury and Tyson Fury, they're a bit like rugged. You know, they're a bit ugly, aren't they? But, you know, that Tommy Fury, like plucks his eyebrows, he goes on the sunbed, you know what I mean? He's a bit vain and he's a bit like feminine. So I bet the fucking Fury household would have been quite hostile towards Tommy Fury. You know, they call themselves fighting men and that. You know, they kind of pride themselves on bravery. So it's the same with this little fake Mexican boxer, you know, that KSI smacked up. You know, he's not accepted in the Mexican boxing community at all. They don't fucking acknowledge him in the slightest. You know, he was fucking weak. He was complaining. He was a little hoe. So KSI, you know what I mean, he fucking beat him, but it wasn't much to beat, to be honest with you. I think his brother Deji, you know, did better. I think his performance against that Fuzi was more impressive, you know, than KSI's. KSI was like swinging. He still looked a bit wild, you know, and that's what he said in the interview on DAZN afterwards. You know, he said, whoever I fight, you know, they're getting knocked out. I'm going all out like Wilder. I'm swinging like Wilder. So he's kind of proud of having that wild, swinging kind of style in a KSI. But, you know, that can only work against these little fake fucking Mexican boxers. You know, Jake Paul, it'll be a tougher fight, won't it? You know, if KSI goes in there swinging and that, Jake Paul might catch him, you know, with that right hand. So good punch, innit? I don't know if KSI can take one of those big right hands, you know, if he starts like trying to rush in wild, you know, swinging away, he might run onto one of those big right hands. You know, Tyron Woodley, who Jake Paul fucked up, he would have fucked up that little fake Mexican professional boxer. You know, that KSI fucked up the other day. So, you know, KSI trying to act like he's got one up on Jake Paul, you know, saying, the guy that I beat, he was an actual professional boxer. You haven't beat any professional boxers. You know, it's not sincere, is it? But yeah, KSI got the victory, didn't he? And his brother Deji. They both got a couple of victories, didn't they? But yeah, Deji, you know, he had quite a good performance. You know, he looked a lot better, you know, in this fight than he did in his previous fights. You know, he was catching that guy, you know, with like straight left hands from the southpaw position. You know, he's catching him with some hooks as well. Like, I'm not saying he's fucking as good as Usyk. But you know, them right hooks from the southpaw stance that Usyk threw and landed against Joshua time and time again in both fights. You know, that's a good shot, you know, for a southpaw to throw. And you know that Deji, he kept throwing it and it was quite good. It was a good performance. And like, some people are saying that, you know, since he split up with that woman, you know, he's performed a lot better in boxing. You know, he hasn't been distracted, you know, by pussy. He's had more focus. You know, we kind of seen it in the fight, didn't we? And like, you know, when you split up with a woman, yeah, you try and like improve yourself, don't you? You try and better yourself, you know, so the woman sees you and thinks, oh, I shouldn't have split up with him, you know. Oh, he's doing really well. I shouldn't have fucking split up with him. I should have stuck with him. You know, he's doing really well in life. That's what you try and do, don't you? You know, when you split up with a woman, you try and like self-improve. You know, and that's what they're saying about Deji, you know, when he split up with that woman. You know, I interviewed him and like some of you lot was trying to slag me off. You know, saying, oh, why didn't you call him Dead G to his face? Like you've been calling him in your videos in the past. Because he lost all his fights prior to the fight with Fusi. Why didn't you call him Dead G when you was in front of him face to face in the interview? But I'm not trying to blackball myself, you know, with these fucking big time YouTubers. You know, that Dead G, he's got like 10 million fucking subscribers, you know what I mean? So, you know, my little interview with him, you know, it's not worth fucking alienating myself, you know, from these guys, you know, that I've got some big fucking numbers. I went to the show. Yeah, and I only interviewed Deji. I interviewed Hassan Rahman Jr., yeah, but the sound was a bit shit, so I didn't really put the video up, but you know, I need to go all out, you know, get a proper mic, but I don't want to get blackballed, you know, by these fuckers here, because I need to step up my YouTube game, you know, step up my sexual game, you know, to try and worm my way in, you know, the Sidemen and all them guys. So I didn't call him Dead G, yeah. So what do you think of him anyway? He's like calling himself an unbeaten professional boxer. What do you think of that? Do you think that's a bit misleading? You know, because he lost his 3 fights, you know, in the amateurs. Do you think he can be arrogant and go around saying, I'm an unbeaten pro? I'm an unbeaten professional boxer? Do you think he should have that kind of like attitude? You know, because he's only had 1 fight and he's won it, but he lost his last 3 fights before that. I don't know, it's one of them things. I don't think it really does matter. It's like Usyk, you know, when he was in the amateurs and he got hit with that body shot and he went down. So Joshua would have seen that and he would have thought, oh yeah, I'm going to throw some body shots at Usyk. You know, he's a bit vulnerable. So Joshua tried to throw a few body shots at Usyk, but it didn't work at all, did it? You know, the amateurs are amateurs, man. It's like Mayweather, innit? How many losses did he have in the amateurs? Like most people don't know, do they? We don't know. We look at him as unbeaten, yeah? TBE. We don't think about him losing as much, do we? You know, because he lost a few fights in the amateurs and that, you know, and he got robbed and he was crying. That's the only loss that I'm aware of, yeah? But I don't know any other losses that he had, Mayweather. Because it's almost irrelevant, innit? It's like Nassim Hamed. So, Nassim Hamed, prior to getting beat by Barrera, his last defeat was in the amateurs against a guy called Dean Pithy. You know, when Nas was a little kid. But no one knows about that defeat, really. No one cares. That defeat to Dean Pithy didn't really tarnish Nas's legacy, did it? Prior to getting beat by Barrera, you know, we looked at him as unbeaten. We didn't think, oh yeah, but he's lost in the amateurs against Dean Pithy. It's irrelevant, isn't it? So it don't really matter. So, you know, Deji, for him to go around saying I'm an unbeaten professional boxer, yeah, I'm unbeaten. Do you think it's a bit silly or do you think it's justified? Might be justified, you know. It's a good victory. It's a good performance. He looked quite good, you know what I mean? He's trying to, you know, impress that woman that he used to be with. He wants her to look at him now and think, wow, you know, since we've split up, you know, you've really fucking progressed. You've won a fight. That's what he's trying to do, innit? Dead G. I was at the show, yeah, and I seen, like, the Sidemen. And I was just thinking, like, what kind of an after party are them guys gonna have? You know what I mean? You know, the Sidemen and fucking Dead G, KSI, you know, Logan Paul, he was there as well. I seen him as well, you know, and his little mates that he does a podcast with, Mike and that other guy. I was thinking, what kind of a party are they going to have? You know, what kind of after party? They've got money, you know, they've got that celebrity status now, aren't they? So what kind of an after party they're going to have? It would have been interesting to see, you know, the kind of money they've got, the kind of pussy that they can afford to fuck, you know, in terms of escorts, you know, the Wolf of Wall Street, like, You know, that kind of thing. Like, I bet they had a fucking good time, you know. You know, in the after party. You know, there was a few Love Island women, you know, at the KSI Swarms event. So that'd be quite a good after party, wouldn't it? Because these women love men who are like celebrities and they've got money. So, you know, KSI and Dead G, you know, even though they look a bit fucking, you know, they've got other things that increase their value. Money, celebrity, you know, so it boosts their value. I told you that I used to see people who look like KSI and Deji outside of the club that I used to work at 4 a.m, you know, trying it on with fucking ugly fat women, you know, out of desperation, because they're like the last women in town, the leftover women. So, you know, KSI and Dead G, you know, they've done really well in life, you know, to excel and be able to have a after party on a boat, you know, with some nice Love Island women. And be able to fucking bang them. You know, that little black guy in the Sidemen, you know, Toby. That's a slave name, you know. There's a film called Roots, you know, and there was this little black slave. And, you know, his slave masters, they gave him the name Toby. You know, to try and strip him of his identity. His real name was Kunta Kinte, yeah. But, you know, his white slave masters, they didn't want him to have an identity. So they called him Toby, you know, and that's what the black man in the Sidemen is called, Toby. You know, his mum and dad have stitched him up, haven't they? But he's kind of elevated in life, you know, to the point where he can kind of get with those nice, attractive white women. He's elevated his value, you know, because he's got a few million subscribers and that, and he fucking hangs around with KSI. So I bet that after party would have been quite good. True Geordie was there as well, wasn't he? True Geordie, you know, Chris Eubank Jr. was there as well, wasn't he? So I bet that after party would have been quite good. I don't know if Eubank Jr. would have been able to get into the party. What do you think? Do you think he's like big enough? Do you think he'll be accepted, you know, in that little circle of the Sidemen? Deji, KSI, True Geordie, Logan Paul. Do you think Eubank Jr. would be able to worm his way into that kind of after party? You know what I mean? It's interesting, isn't it? You try to hang around with Dan Bilzerian. So he might be accepted, you know, into that little after party, into that little circle of those Sidemen. He might be able to get in. But I don't know if he went. You know, he's got a fight coming up with Conor Benn, but he don't seem to be taking it seriously. You know, eating chicken. You know, in his interview with Coogan. You know, KFC chicken. He was trying to eat that one here, you know, when he was getting interviewed by Coogan. He was trying to act like he's really not taking Conor Benn seriously at all. You know, to the point where he can just eat Kentucky Fried Chicken, you know, a few weeks off from the fight. But yeah, I think Eubank wins. I know he's trying to eat like KFC chicken, you know, trying to act like he's underestimating Conor Benn, and making weight's not going to be hard at all, but I don't know. I think Chris Eubank will win. I think he's fucking just bigger in it. I don't rate any of them. I don't think any of them are that exceptionally brilliant. I just think Eubank being bigger will fucking cause him to win, but I don't really rate any of them like that. I don't give a fuck if Eubank beat me, you know. It was 4 days notice, but I don't want to keep going on about the same thing. You know, it's an L, and that's it. That's the bottom line. So, yeah. But I think Eubank will beat Conor Benn. Yeah, Chris Eubank Jr. said his dad's going to be in his corner, you know, for his fight with Conor Benn. And that's quite good to hear, innit? Because, you know, Eubank Sr., he's got a lot of personality, a lot of character. You know, his son, Chris Eubank Jr., he's not as interesting, is he? So he tries to stand out, don't he? You know, wearing these little jackets. You know, that's his way of like really standing out, you know, wearing these little jackets. But it's good to hear that Chris Eubank Sr. will be in his corner. You know, he's got a lot of personality on it. I like listening to him. You know, we know about that classic line, don't we? That legendary line in boxing. Let's have some parliamentary procedure here. So it's good to hear that he's going to be in the corner, you know, and that's what Chris Eubank Jr. said, didn't he? Same with Nigel Benn. He's in Conor Benn's corner, isn't he? You know, and he's quite interesting as well. Nigel Benn, you know, fucking blinding Gerald McLennan and putting him in a wheelchair. You know, Nigel Benn, the Dark Destroyer, he's got a bit of character as well on it. So it'd be good to see the press conferences. So who do you think Deji should fight next? You know, after his little good performance, stopping that Fuzi. Do you think he should fight that Joe Weller guy? You know, that Joe Weller, he was trying to get all hyped up, wasn't he? He was trying to put it on KSI. You know, at the press conference. You know, when he was getting interviewed, that Joe Weller, he was trying to put it on KSI, but KSI's already fucked him up. That's what I mean. You know, when some people do that, it's like Joshua, innit? You know, when he was kicking off and he was having his little fucking childish, immature moment, you know, after he got fucked up by Usyk in the rematch. You know, Joshua, he started to try and act all aggressive, didn't he? So that's what Joshua did, you know. He had the fucking opportunity to show that kind of aggression to Usyk, but he didn't, did he? And that's what that Joe Weller did as well, you know, with KSI. So it's a bit corny, man. The whole week was a bit like cringe, you know, the fucking press conferences. But that's their field, innit? You know, just to like hype it up as much as possible. Normal boxers just sit there and say, I've had a tough camp. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the fight. You know, it's dead, innit? It's boring. But these YouTube fuckers, that's what they're about, aren't they? Like hyping it up. You know, that guy dressed as a Prime bottle. Prime. Have you ever had that Prime? I've never had it, you know, but I was talking to this guy the other day, yeah, and he's had that Prime. And he said it's overrated. You know, he said it's not all that. He said it's overrated, but it's just been marketed, you know, and promoted well by KSI and Logan Paul. But he said it's not that nice, but I've never tried it, you know. I've never tried Prime. But he said it's overrated, but he might just be hating, you know, because it's sold a lot of units, you know. I don't think it's available in the UK, you know, because it's kind of sold out. So yeah, it's selling well. Remember that Tyson Fury drink, Furiosity? You know, that's starting to die out, innit? That's a bit dead. You know, no one really talks about that anymore, do they? You know, that Tyson Fury drink, Furiosity. I think people are just getting sick of Tyson Fury. I think they're getting bored of him. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I'm retired. Yeah, I'm coming back. I'm retired. I'm coming back. I'll fight for free. I want £500 billion. You know, it's just boring, isn't it? So I think people are starting to lose interest in Tyson Fury. So, you know, his little drink, Furiosity, you know, it's starting to fucking die out, innit? Like, the last time I seen that drink, Furiosity, it was in, like, my local Iceland. And it was on sale. Yeah, the price has been reduced, you know, because it's not selling, you know what I mean? So they're trying to fucking put it on sale, you know, to get rid of it, because it's just dead. Yeah, it's fucking dead. But, you know, Prime, it's selling quite well, isn't it? I might have to try it, but these like talks of KSI, you know, fighting that Andrew Tate. What do you think of that? Who wins that fight there, KSI or Andrew Tate? I don't know, you know, I've never seen that Andrew Tate fight. I've seen a few little clips of him, you know, doing a bit of kickboxing, but, you know, kickboxing's different to boxing. You know, Joe Rogan, yeah. He said, like, when he first started doing martial arts, he said he started with, like, Taekwondo. And then he, like, moved on to kickboxing. But when he moved on to kickboxing, he got fucking battered. Because he said it was, like, totally different, you know, to Taekwondo. Like, you know, the distance and the point scoring system that Taekwondo is all about. So he said that, you know, they're not the same, you know what I mean? So kickboxing and boxing, they're not the same. I boxed a kickboxer, yeah, and I fucking battered him. Because it's just not the same, is it? So, you know, this Andrew Tate, you know, doing a bit of kickboxing and that. He was like a 4-time world champion kickboxer, wasn't he? But I don't know how that translates into being a good boxer. So I don't know who would win out of Andrew Tate and KSI, but You know, in the press conferences, you know, Andrew Tate, he'll fucking destroy KSI, won't he? You know, verbally. He'll fucking destroy him. You know, he'll get in his head, he'll fucking really cause KSI some emotional problems, you know, some psychological problems. But it'd be interesting to see, you know, that Andrew Tate, he got cancelled, didn't he? Got shut down on social media. I like him. I think he talks a lot of sense, you know what I mean? He's a bit controversial, isn't he? But I think a lot of the things he says are true, you know, like, you know, he like encourages men, you know, and inspires them, you know, to step their game up and try and increase their value, you know, get in shape, you know, step up financially, you know, so you become a higher value man. You know, so you get more pussy. Because, like, there was a study done here, and it said that, you know, male suicide, it's at its all-time highest. And male virginity is also at its highest. So there's, like, a correlation there, you know, between, like, men not getting any pussy and men killing themselves. You know, there's a fucking correlation, isn't there? So, you know, people like Andrew Tate, yeah, he tries to, like, encourage and inspire men, you know, to step their game up and not be a fat fucking broke lowlife scumbag. Because you're not going to get pussy like that, you know what I mean? So I like him. I think he's a funny guy, man, an interesting guy. I rate him. You know, he shouldn't have been cancelled. You know, if he's going to get cancelled, yeah, you know that Cardi B, she said in an interview, yeah, that when she was a stripper back in the day, she used to like drug men, you know, her clients. She used to drug them, you know, so she could rob them, you know, when they're out cold. So Cardi B can say that and admit that in an interview. But, you know, this Andrew Tate, you know, he's fucking getting cancelled, in it. And like people like Jake Paul, you know, and fucking a few other people like KSI, he wrote a tweet in it saying, I'm glad Andrew Tate has been cancelled. But they try and like go back to this whole, he was human trafficking women, he was fucking kidnapping women and using them sexually. But has he been like arrested? Has he been like convicted? I mean, has he been charged? Has he done any time? You know what I mean? It's just fucking hearsay, innit? You know, has he done any time? It's just a fucking accusation, innit? It's like when Jake Paul got accused of fucking raping that woman, yeah. You know, it's just rumours, innit? It's accusations, it's fucking people jumping on the bandwagon, you know, trying to get compensation and Me Too and all this other shit. So Andrew Tate, he hasn't done any prison time, has he, for human trafficking or forcing women into fucking being on his sexual webcams. So it's, you know, it's just rumours, innit? It's hearsay. I like him anyway. I don't think he should have been cancelled, but you know what I mean? It's fucking stupid, man. But you know, if he did fight KSI, I don't know, it'd be quite interesting, wouldn't it? It'd be quite entertaining, but I'm gonna wrap it up, you know. Thanks for watching, yeah. Thanks for that.